Hey everybody, welcome to The Early Edge, a mentorship podcast for next generation leaders where we share insights we wish we had learned earlier in our careers.
We want to equip you to learn more, grow faster, and thrive in both your work and personal life. I'm Jay.
And I'm Jeff. Let's get into today's episode.
Hello, Early Edge friends. Welcome back. We are excited to bookend a topic on bosses in honor of National International Bosses Day not too long ago. We have done the Bad Boss episode, and now it's time to get bright and positive and do the Good Boss episode.
Yeah, we wanted to finish on a good note. Start, get the bad boss out of the way, and then
for sure. We hope the Bad Boss episode was entertaining and gives us some things to look out for and maybe how to navigate if we're in that environment. Now we're going to try to set some vision and get you excited about being a good boss, recognizing good bossness, and get you on that path.
We're hopeful too that if somebody out there had a bad boss that does cross some of those boundaries that we talked about and is toxic to the point, we hope that you found that useful and maybe you've done something about that.
Yes, and
be intentional.
I forgot. If you listen to the Bad Boss episode, you may recall some words that got beeped out. It was very entertaining. The passion with which you brought the story of that bad boss and the cursing that was part of his repertoire was very funny.
Did I say it was a he? Huh.
Probably. So last week I was working with a client in Utah, and it's a newish client relationship. And the CFO of that company came in and said, "Hello, you consulting bleep," because he'd listened to the episode.
That's good.
And it was phenomenal timing.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
So anyway, okay. Jeff, why don't you kick us off with your good boss story?
I've had a handful of bosses over my career. My career spanned the last 30 years. I've had a few bad bosses, one really bad boss that we talked about in the last episode, and I've had a handful of good bosses, but one really comes to mind when I think about past experiences and what really helped me be a better person, drive results. And so when I think of a good boss, I think of this person.
What's his name?
You want me to name his name?
I think he deserves it.
I'm not sure that people will believe me. No, I think you'll be okay with it.
Oh, with a name?
Yeah. His name is John Wayne.
Okay.
What's really odd is his boss was Ed Murphy, so Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy and John Wayne?
Yes. And who is the astronaut with John Glenn and Buzz Aldrin? Who was the other one? But on our team was the astronaut. Not the astronaut, but the same name. So we had John Wayne, Eddie Murphy.
Neil Armstrong.
And Neil Armstrong. So,
wow. What a team.
Ed Murphy now is the CEO of Empower. You may be familiar with Empower.
Sure.
And I believe that Neil Armstrong is still at Fidelity. This was all at Fidelity Investments. And so it was just kind of fun to say, I work with these, three famous people.
Yes. That is very funny.
John Wayne, yeah. John, sorry to put you on the spot, but he was a great boss.
Listen, I think if I'm John Wayne, who I'd like to meet sometime, I don't think you need to apologize. This I want someone to talk about me someday on a podcast saying I was a great boss.
Absolutely. Yes. I would hope for that. That would really be cool and nice. And yes. Yeah. People when we were traveling, we would be out at dinner and he'd put his credit card down or whatever and they'd be like, "Come on.
Yeah.
Where's the real card?"
That's so good. Well, what did he do that stuck with you?
The first thing is many of the things that we've talked about, principles and character in other episodes, just of genuineness and care and concern for people.
Yeah.
It was very evident that he honestly cared about individuals, the teams, and he very much cared about results. But it wasn't just results, it was people and team as well. And that showed in all the things that he did.
And I feel like that's that could be considered a tension. How can you do both? The answer is you can care a lot about results, and the way you do it exhibits care for the team. And those are great qualities and characteristics both. And if you only have one, you have some challenges generally.
Yeah. John ran one of the business functions at Fidelity Investments, and his direct reporting team, which I was a part of, there were probably 6 or 7 direct reports. The other thing that I really believe is one of the reasons I feel like he was such a great boss and and what makes a great boss is that he knew each individual on the team. He knew their skills. He knew their interests. He knew their strengths. He knew their passions. He knew kind of what their future desires were.
How did he do that?
Yeah, he asked a lot of questions. He spent a lot of time with you. One-on-ones were not just, oh, we have another one-on-one today.
Not just about making widgets.
No, they were intentional. They were purposeful.
Yeah, it's a key word there, I think.
And so he did it by making one-on-ones relevant, asking questions, both, hey, Jeff, you're leading this function for our business unit. Tell me more about your strategy and why, and tell me how you do that and why you do that and why are you using those vendors? Just all that. He asked a lot.
He wasn't telling you what to do.
No, definitely not. Did we have the Bad Boss episode? Oh yeah, that was part of the Bad Boss episode. Yeah.
Yes, I recall.
Yes. Please go back and listen to that if you haven't.
Yeah.
The other thing was he gave constant feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew you, he was genuine, he was, caring and concerned, but he gave you constant feedback, and that was good and bad.
Yeah. Good, bad feedback.
Good and bad feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was good that he did it.
There was the positive encouragement, of, hey, this really worked out well. We got great results, thanks for that. And when something didn't work, it was, hey, we need to talk about that.
Wow, that's good. So was it always an enjoyable experience?
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
Looking back, absolutely, it was the right thing.
Yeah.
But I remember in particular one time when he called me into his office, and my office is right next to his, and he was like, hey, we need to talk about something. And I just knew from the tone of voice, something isn't right.
Yeah.
But there was enough trust, and there was such a strong relationship. And I know he did this with all of his direct reports, that when something wasn't right or the results weren't there, it was an open conversation.
Yeah.
Let's investigate this together. I have to point it out that this didn't meet the mark.
Yeah.
But we're going to dig into this, and I'm going to encourage you to resolve the problem.
That's fantastic. How old were you when you first started reporting to him?
I was in my 30s.
Okay, good. So you were not brand new in the world, but you were certainly not a seasoned veteran. So
I was younger. I was leading a marketing function and a strategy function for this business area of Fidelity.
Yeah, great.
The other thing, if I think of great bosses, is he held me and he held the team accountable.
Mm. Sounds like he did it in a good way, though.
Yeah, no doubt. It was, we were very diligent and intentional about strategy. The strategies of all the functions were written down.
Yeah.
Our goals were clear. And so it made it easy for us to win-win, help each other, ensure that we're all achieving the goals that we've created and we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, that's great.
Accountability was a multiple matrixed thing.
Yeah. So what do you think success meant to him?
He was an individual who wanted to be given a significant challenge and accomplish it. He didn't want to, hey, maintain this or go deliver 10%. We were driving 30 and 40% CAGR.
CAGR is what?
Compound annual growth rate. So year over year, significant growth over, this was about a 6-year period.
So it wasn't a easy road. It wasn't a small challenge. It sounds like a leader who led with relationship so he could expect big results, and use a term I like to use is positive pressure, be a source of constant positive pressure moving toward a big goal.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I think the lesson in that, and not surprisingly, those characteristics will come out in the boss stories I tell. There was an element of trust because you just knew he wanted the best for you. He was a safe space and he was pushing you for a positive reason and you would benefit from it. And he took the time to get to know you. So it wasn't superficial. It was real relationship.
Yes. He fostered it. So we as a leadership team got together monthly. We typically got together in person at least quarterly.
Yeah.
We were in 3 or 4 different cities. So we had to typically fly to Boston or somewhere, New Hampshire, somewhere like that.
It's great.
And it was intentional, and he orchestrated it. Much of it was in his character and much of it was in his execution.
Yeah. Great. So good.
You said something, I'm going to let you share it, but you said something kind of surprising to me. It may be just the number of bosses you've had, but share kind of your situation about good bosses. And then I know you've got some stories to share as well.
Yeah, we were prepping for this, and I realized I've never really had a good boss.
Abby's a good boss.
Abby is a phenomenal boss. She cares about relationship and holds me accountable.
Yes.
In the workplace, I've had neutral bosses. I think we talked about the bad boss episode was sort of a passive boss. It wasn't adding a ton to my career development, but they were nice people. So I would call that neutral. But I haven't had someone beyond neutral. I've certainly had toxic business relationships. I've had, young, college type jobs, a college type job boss, which was not somebody developing my career. So I've really never experienced reporting to somebody that I would run through walls for, because I had 2 jobs in the workforce before I started my first company. I have gotten to see and advise and consult some phenomenal bosses, and they are the ones that come to mind that I want to share. And I didn't know what you were going to say about John. These folks have very much the same characteristics. One of them is Peter Feil, who is the general manager and I guess would say the head honcho for a German-owned manufacturing company that he runs the North American office that's not far from here in Cincinnati. And he's a guy who just very smart, driven for success, high standards for customer satisfaction and quality of what they do, and somebody who absolutely leads with relationship. And so he's relentless about continuous improvement. He's absolutely hungry, always trying to get better, become a better leader, always open door to talk with his people and hear from his people. But just a guy that I watched and had the pleasure of consulting with and watched, transform the performance of this company through his leadership. And he wasn't perfect, but he was steady and consistent and positive.
I haven't met Peter. If Peter walked in the room, what would the first interaction be like?
We'd hug.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No question.
Okay.
We've developed a very good friendship.
Now, I wouldn't hug him because I haven't met him, but okay. So you hug him and then you introduce him to me, and what's that interaction like?
Big smile, and he would go eye to eye with you and ask you about you.
Yeah. So it shows in those types of moments.
It's in his character.
Because one thing you said there, and I don't want to get down a rabbit trail here too much, but one thing you said there is a lot of times great leaders are extroverts, and they're just, when you meet them, they light up, they make you feel like the most important person in the room. A lot of times those great leaders are introverts though, and they have different ways of making you feel valued and welcomed without it being fun and, joyful and all that. It's more, I'm genuine, you matter, I'm going to ask very precise questions. And does that resonate any with?
Absolutely. Yep. And Peter is an engineer by training.
Yeah.
Actually is in an engineering firm. I believe he's an engineer by training, but I view him as an engineer. He has an engineering mind. He's of German descent. He grew up essentially in the U.S., so he could be viewed from a distance as stoic until you get in this circle with him where you're in a one-on-one conversation, and then you feel like you're the most important person to him in that moment.
Yeah.
And there's people who are known for that. Former CEO of Procter & Gamble, David Taylor, is another person I've heard of from our mutual friend Kip Fanta, who reported to him, has told the story about working with David prior to David becoming CEO. And just, he was a guy that gave you the time, got to know you. And just when he was with you, he gave you 100% of his attention.
Yeah.
Peter is the same way.
So if you had Peter's team, all the people that are reported to Peter here, and you asked him, hey, what are 2 or 3 things that make him such a great boss? What do you think they'd say?
Collaborative, like crazy. My voice matters. Relentless about excellence with a caring approach. The second person, I'll just add, very similar core character traits, but brought it a little differently, is Ellen Katz, who used to be the president and CEO maybe. I don't know if they had a president title of the Greater Cincinnati Foundation. I just talked to her today, so it was very easy for her to come to mind. She was as a CEO, very consistently driven for excellence, and also very human focused in a challenging coach kind of a way. So I know you can be great, and I'm in it with you, and I'm going to push you, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to do it respectfully. I'm going to be open to what you have to say back to me. Just a steady and constant force for good.
I was listening to a podcast just last week, and I can't remember which one it was. It may have been an Andy Stanley podcast, and it was all about asking the right question, and I can't remember the topic of the podcast. But the point of this podcast was, if you want to get better, the question is, what am I capable of?
Yeah.
And that kind of is what I just heard you say about Ellen, is she looks at people and organizations as what are we capable of?
Yeah. And she is not afraid to sit down with you and say, what do you think you are capable of? And then she'll say, I think you're capable of more.
Yeah.
Do you want to go there?
Yeah.
And now she retired from that role, having taken GCF to new heights of excellence, and is now executive coaching. The reason I talked to her today is I have a client who is in need of some executive coaching, and she's the first person I thought of to recommend.
Yeah.
And by the way, every member of her executive team that reported to her is now doing more and more senior roles at their other locations. So they learned from her, they branched out, they're running their own foundations or in elevated executive roles at companies around Cincinnati.
So one of the things going through my mind is, in the Bad Boss episode, we gave people a picture of what a bad boss could look like. I mean, most people probably know it if they're in it, but we also challenge people to really determine whether it's a bad boss or just a hard boss, right? And go back and listen to that, listen to it. In this episode, a lot of what we've talked about is how to be a great boss. A lot of our listeners may not be in a leadership role yet. So I wonder if there's some things that we can encourage our listeners to do, that if they do have a good boss or a great boss, what can they do to ensure that continues? Like, one thing that comes to mind for me is, if you have a great boss who is like many of the things we've just described of these three people, tell them thank you.
Yes. Mention it, point it out, and then don't squander your time with them.
Yes.
Get in it, because you won't always have somebody who's that effective at helping you be great. So take advantage of that relationship while you have it.
Early in my career, I had a boss tell me after about 6 months in that they hadn't heard from me in a while.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'm like, well, you hired me to do this job, and I'm in my 20s at this point.
Yeah.
But you hired me to do this job, and I'm going to be an expert at it, and I'm doing the job. And aren't you seeing the results? Now, I didn't say those things just like that. That's what's in my mind. But he wanted more relationship, more communication. He wanted me, to our episode on the first 60 days, he wanted to hear from me ideas and opportunities.
Yeah. Take the initiative.
Here's a good point, that if you've got a good boss, don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Go talk to him, and to your point, spend as much time as you can with him.
Yeah. Let's
make it a two-way thing.
Absolutely. Let's, in the exit of this episode, pull out as key takeaways those principles that we talked about. And this is for you as a listener to think about your mindset in how you engage with other people. Not even if you're not a leader yet, you can be exhibiting these character traits, because they didn't do this because of their leadership role. They did it because of their character, and it just made them phenomenal leaders. And the first one, I think, that is obvious is, I care.
Yes.
I care about you as a person. I care enough to be intentional about understanding you as a person. I invest in that part of our relationship. I give you my attention when we're together. You matter is important.
And I care can't only be in your head. It's got to be communicated.
So good.
In your presence and in your words.
They know I care
right.
about that.
So many times we think, don't they just know it's in my head? Don't they just know this? They think the same way I do, right?
Yes.
No, you got to communicate that. So
Excellent.
Ask questions of your peers and your team members and all that. I think the second one is the constant feedback.
Yes. That's part of caring, frankly.
It is.
Even if it might be a tough conversation, I want you to be great. And so I'm going to give you feedback to help you be great.
Yes.
Yeah. And I like the positive pressure, steady, consistent. Hey, I know my boss is awesome, and I know they're always going to be there to help me get better with accountability, with encouragement. They're just dependable. One of the worst things a leader can do is to be inconsistent. So I don't know which boss I'm going to get today. So Great bosses are steady, rock solid. I know who I'm going to have in my corner every day.
Yeah, I think those are great.
Those are great.
Okay, enjoy, and we will see you next time on the Early Edge Mentorship Podcast. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Early Edge, a mentorship podcast for next generation leaders. If you have feedback or would like to submit questions or a topic idea, email us at earlyedge@reddogadvisors.com
or earlyedge@altaimpact.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please follow, subscribe, rate, and review. See you next time.